Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a lot of information really fast. So last year about this time I put out a video where I was saying if you don't need anything, you don't have to purchase something. I don't think we should be materialistic or searching for a product to purchase just because we want to purchase a product. However, I have been getting a lot of questions of, Jeremy, what are you going to pick up for Black Friday? What I wanted to do was gather information from a lot of people that I know make a living in the music industry, from engineers, mixers, producers, to players, session players, and I got their top picks. I asked them, what are you using right now? I didn't ask them, what are you going to buy for Black Friday? I asked them, what are you using right now that you don't even think about? That it's ingrained so much into your process that it would be difficult for you to do your job without it. That's what I got right here. So let's run down them super quick. This video is not sponsored by anybody. Hit the like button if you like it. Subscribe if you want more stuff like this. Here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna give you a quick background on whose notes I'm giving, what they do, and at the end I'm gonna give mine. There are a lot of plugins on here that were mentioned more than once, and these people did not talk to each other. First off, we have Steven, who is a super talented engineer producer. He toured as a guitar player, a total tone snob in the best way possible, and like the sweetest guy on planet Earth. When I sent him the question, his first response was, you mean besides Arvox? And if you don't know, Waves Arvox, it comes up on my list too. $29, couldn't tell you what it does, but I can tell you that I haven't mixed a song in the last 7 or 8 years without it. A lot of engineers I know will say the exact same thing. I have no idea why. Next up is the Sound Toys. This comes up more than once. $229 for their Sound Toys 5 bundle. Definitely really cool when it comes to production and just getting ideas or making something weird when you need something different. Next up on his list, Sony 7506 headphones. These are only $99. They're hard to beat. I don't really like them for tracking necessarily when you have to worry about bleed, but if you want to know how something translates, those are great headphones. By the way, all these links are going to be down in the description below. Check those out. His next one, some kind of SSL E-style channel strip. This comes up a lot. The Waves E2 seems to be the winner, and that is, I'll put the price up on the screen. A very particular sound, and that channel strip in particular just seems versatile. It will get the job done very, very quick. There's a whole lot you can do. That said, channel strips are kind of a personal choice. I know a lot of people that use SSL. It's not my first go-to, but I definitely have it and I definitely use it. There's another benefit that comes up with that later. Tall Chorus, TAL. I don't know if it's tall or TAL. Chorus LX. I use this thing all the time. It's free. There's no reason for you to not go pick this up. This was actually on Steven's list, and I would totally agree with that. I use it constantly. I forget it's a free plugin. Go pick it up. Link in the description. FabFilter Pro Q. I mean, Pro Q3 at this point is so ingrained in my workflow that I would think it's a part of the DAW itself. It's not something you reach for when you want something hyper colored, but if you want to fix a problem, make a big sweeping decision. Right now that's $127. Go check that out if you need an EQ. Next one, and this is him coming through as a guitar player and an engineer kind of mixed together. The Peterson Strobo Stomp. Super accurate guitar pedal tuner. And tuners come up multiple times in this. Tuning is pretty important, and having a tuner that you can trust is even more important. I have a bunch of tuners here at the studio, and no, they are not all created equal. If you want that one, it's $147. It's a little pricey, but it's a freaking solid tuner, and it has a buffered output, so if you put it at the beginning of your board, it'll kind of compensate for those extra long runs of cable. The Wolf Comp. I freaking love this compressor. It does that squishy, old, vibey thing, and it has a lo-fi dial that I use probably way too much. Right now it's 30% off, $104. If you want to know that sound, it's kind of like Wolfpack. Go check them out. If you like that kind of sound, you can get that with this compressor super easy. This one was a surprise to me. This came up a lot. These guys did not talk to each other either, but the Neural DSP Tone King. That is modeling a real amp that I have recorded tons of times. I have had that amp here a lot. There's a session player, Caleb, who I ask his things later on down the line. He brings that amp all the time. It's $2,600. That thing is magic. I love recording that amp. Neural DSP came out with this, and it is right now 49 euros or $51 USD. And that popped up on so many people's lists that it would kind of be silly not to go pick that up. I'm probably gonna go pick that up, even though I love the real amp. If it's even somewhat close, and the guy who owns that amp that I fell in love with, it's on his list as well, and he says he's not losing anything to his mind. That speaks volumes to me. Last on Steven's list is a good SSD. He wrote down the Samsung T7. The 1 terabyte right now is only $89 on Amazon. Link down in the description. Go find that out if you need a solid hard drive. There is a 2 terabyte version of that, and that's a fast, dependable SSD. Next up, we have Josh. He's a pro bass player. He tours. He's a session player, all around awesome guy, and he has great hair. He was pretty to the point with his recommendations. He said, especially for bass players, around this time of year, it's a great time to put new strings on your bass, especially if you're one of those people who do not change their strings, and you should change your strings. I put a link down below to some Labellas, flat wounds, $42 for this set. If you've never tried flat wounds, this is a great time, and if you're anything like me, although I'm not a super great bass player, once I tried flats, I'm looking up here at my bass up here, it still has flats on it. I fell in love with that sound. One of the other points that Josh made was getting like a good guitar hanger or a stand. And this is the player coming out in him, because if you see an instrument out, you're more likely to pick it up and practice. And that's just his vibe. I love that. There's a link down in the description to one that's $29 that does lock when you hang it up. Check that out. On Josh's list again, Neural DSP Tone King. This one pops up more than once. Link down in the description. Go check it out. A tuner pedal again, Peterson Strobo Stomp. If we need a tuner that you can trust, check that out. The other one he put on here, I completely agree with. Valhalla Vintage Verb. Valhalla reverbs are fantastic. I own all of them, but if I use one the most, it's the Vintage Verb. It took me a long time to get on the Valhalla train because it seemed like everybody was using Shimmer plugin when it first came out. But I really found Valhalla Vintage Verb to stay on my template for a long time. It's $50 right now, link in the description, go check it out. Next up, Jonah, who is a super talented engineer, producer, guitar player, session player, killer bass player. He would say he's a bass player first and a guitar player second, but this kid can play circles around me all day long, and a total tone junkie. He gave his answers very concisely into different categories. So for his mixing recommendation, he says the Lindell 80 channel strip. And that is a channel strip that models the Neve 1084, which I have, and you guys have heard me talk about. I have seen him use this a ton, and I like the sound of it, but it confused me at first when I started playing with it. It just seemed needlessly complicated for a channel strip. But the more I sit down with it, the more I really, really like it. Now, it's a little more expensive at $249, but that 1084 that it's modeling over there is probably more than 10 times that cost. And it's scary close as far as the preamp and EQ goes. So take that with a grain of salt. Link in the description. His producing recommendation was the Sound Toys bundle. Sound Toys is crazy popular, and I would agree. From a production standpoint, when you need those weird ideas, Sound Toys is perfect for that. For his bass recommendation is the Noble preamp. That is $1,200. I will put the link down in the description below, but I will say any dependable preamp is pretty good. He's saying Noble because there's the ability to power other pedals. It integrates with a pedal board really, really well. It doesn't take up a ton of space, and it sounds great. For my money, I would probably go with something like a Red DI. If you're not worried about space, you don't need that extra power handling and stuff like that. His guitar recommendation was the Jackson Audio Prison preamp pedal, and I freaking love this pedal. Once he showed it to me, I've been kind of obsessed with it. Now, that is $207. Link in the description if you need something cool where you can get different flavors on your entire guitar chain pretty darn quick. Next up, Daniel, who is an engineer, producer, mixer, and also a touring live sound engineer. So he has a little bit of a different way to look at this than we do. He gave 2 recommendations. The Waves EV2 SSL E-Style. So there it is again, that E-Style channel strip. And his reason was a little different. He doesn't have a project that he doesn't use it on. But his thing is he can also use it live. So he's using a sound grid to run Waves plugins in a live context as well as use them in the studio. So that's a plugin that he's gotten to know inside and out in a whole lot of different scenarios. So if you need that flexibility, definitely take a look at that. And right now it is stupid cheap. His other one was a DI. It's a Magic DI. It's a little expensive. It is a transformerless design, but he swears by this thing. This guy has tried a whole lot of things in a very Rode tested scenario, and he says this is the one to go with. $250. I'll link it down below. Next up is Caleb, engineer, producer, guitar player, session player, XLNXO. He has sworn by this thing for a long time. It organizes all your samples in your library. It comes with its own samples. It's a really interesting way and a user interface to select different samples or find similar things. Right now that's 50% off at $64. Go check out the link down below. His other one is another XLN product, RC20. He got me hooked on this plugin and I freaking love it. It took me forever to jump on this train. Right now it's 50% off at $49. Check that out down below. His next one was at the top of my list, Renaissance Axe by Waves. Just like Arvox, I don't know what this thing does, but it does it really well, and it's $29. There's not a single mix that I do without it, and it made his list. Once again, the Neural DSP Tone King, and this is the guy that owns that amp. So if anything, he would be the most critical of it. And he says it's great. $51. Go pick it up. Link in the description. Another one he put down was Soothe 2 by Oak Sound. I completely agree. It's one of those utility plugins. You can go overboard with it. Right now it's $219, but keep an eye on that one because it probably will go a little deeper on sale. Lastly, my own list. Here's the things that I use constantly that I don't even think about them. And these are not things I would say necessarily are my favorite plugins, but they're on every single project that I do. And if you took them away, they would be difficult for me to replace. So number one, Waves Arvox. I've had this discussion with so many engineers, I couldn't tell you exactly what it does. Obviously it compresses. There's a little bit of like sheen that it puts on it, a little bit of harmonic massaging going on, but $29, it is the most useful compressor. It's on literally every track. Next, pretty similar, Waves RX. It's on every guitar that I do, just about. It just does something cool to guitars, and I use it a lot for synths and sometimes pianos when I want a little bit of more attitude. When you want something to just come right here, you reach for those Renaissance compressors. Again, $29, link in the description. I said Soothe 2, just like Caleb. It's one of those utilities that once you use it, you just keep using it. You can go overboard with it, but it does fix problems. Right along those same lines, Oak Sound Spiff is such a cool, creative, transient designer shaper. You can take sounds and turn them into something completely different with this plugin. It is super cool. $169, link in the description. Gullfoss. It just stays on my mix bus. It's rare that I turn it off. I don't have it doing a ton of heavy lifting, but I definitely notice it when it's not there. $119, Gullfoss. Every single track that I mix. And the last one is the newest edition. You'll have to pry this from my cold dead hands. STL Tones Control Hub. Right now it's 50% off at $99. Very interesting plugin where you can kind of do deep dives into other producers and what they're doing on certain tracks. There you go, guys. Again, if you don't need to buy anything, don't. But there's a list of different professionals in the music industry who are actually working, actually making money, actually making a living doing stuff like this, what they use every day. All the links will be in the description below, organized by the person I told them. I put little asterisks by ones that were mentioned more than once. Anyway, guys, this is not sponsored by anybody. Hit the like button if you like it. Hit subscribe if you're into that kind of thing. I'm Resident Loser Jeremy. I'll see you in the next one.